Hey everyone, it's Fox from InfernoFox Gaming. So this video is inspired by YouTube content creator 90s Handheld Gamer. He had a video featuring the top 10 most expensive games in his collection. So I figured I'd want to run through mine and just go through what I believe are the most expensive of mine. And all of the pricing from this is from PriceCharting.com, pretty well-known source, and it comes as of April 9th, 2024. So it's possible there may have been some general fluctuation, though generally it does seem like the prices tend to go up as time goes on. Now, non-video game merchandise of mine, like my statues and some of the art, won't be shown because we're just featuring the actual playable games. So let's get right to it. The first series that I want to feature is my Final Fantasy collection. And if you've seen my game room tour, you've seen a number of the games that I have. And I first want to feature some of the hits here. The first one I'll show is Final Fantasy XII for the PS2, the Collector's Edition. And this is really an amazing steelbook, and it comes with the DVD disc as well as a bonus disc that's sort of the series as it was, or as it were, and the value, I think with it being collectors and a steelbook would be great. Nope, $12.02. So I know I said that I'd feature the most expensive, but some of these are a little funny because you'd think some would be more pricier than others. To that end, another game like that is the OG Final Fantasy VII for the PS1. And this was my brother's, and I fortunately have inherited it from him since he's no longer with us. And this is complete in box and valued at about $53.50 because of that. It's not like the replay, the player's choice version of the PS1 or anything like that. It is just the OG with all three discs. Though the condition of it isn't the greatest. There's a crack right on the front of it, so that would probably affect value, but generally that's what price charting had shown at $53.50. And the piece de resistance for my Final Fantasy collection, and this is the most expensive piece, it is my sealed Final Fantasy VII Pixel Remaster Collector's Edition. And for the Switch, it is at $537. If I had picked up the PS4 one, currently that actually is a bit more expensive, surprisingly. But this is because, of course, Square Enix, I love the games that you guys make, but the fact that you only had this in North America for only like a couple hours or something like that, even though just the standard games on its own, for North America, you get the ESRB versions, is ridiculous. I don't mind taking the value hit. I don't mind the value of this going down if you guys can just release more of these. Collector's version, that's fine. Even the physical copy for North America. Don't make us constantly have to go through like Play Asia and VGP.ca, which VGP.ca is an excellent online Canadian retailer source that I've gotten a number of games from. I do have Chrono Cross. It's the player's choice version for the PS1 as well as the Switch, and I also have the Japanese version of this guy, Chrono Trigger. But I'm going to feature to you the North American version of Chrono Trigger, and this is part of the Hardicus collection. This case is customgamecases.com, so this is not the box, not the original. It would be great if it was complete in box, but that's a-okay. This also includes the manual, so that helps. So a loose in box version of this, $218.12. How crazy is that this is so well, but that's unfortunately the RPGs in North America, they didn't really manufacture a lot of them because they really didn't sell near as much, at least until the Final Fantasy VII itself caused the great increase of RPG gameplay in the North American region. And what was funny is when I was at the Midwest Gaming Expo, as of the recording of this video last week, there were a number of these. I saw at least 6 loose copies of Chrono Trigger from various bins or vendors, and they were selling for at least about $200 plus. So that $218 price, that's actually pretty standard. So we're going to get into another favorite, a newer series for me of mine, and that is going to be Dragon Quest. And I picked up a couple excellent copies of Dragon Quest from one of my former coworkers at a tech company that I used to work at. And we're going to go through those games. And we feature the physical copies of Dragon Warrior 4 and Dragon Warrior 3. These, again, are the customgamecases.com cases. The actual physical cartridges are inside of these particular cases. And the price loose for these, for Dragon Warrior 3, for example, is $93.77. The loose price for Dragon Warrior 4 would be $109.85. Obviously, the price compounds if you manage to find somebody who saved the box of those. Kind of goes back to the whole North American copies of games didn't see a lot of production. That's why these games tend to run a little bit more expensive. And let's talk about Dragon Quest 4 and Dragon Quest 4, but for the Nintendo DS. This is complete in box, and thus it runs about $98.58. And again, this is pretty cool to be able to pick up, because the DS versions of 4 through 6 are, I think, are the best versions, just simply because I like the mobile one, but again, it's mobile and I don't like mobile gaming. The next up, if we're going to talk about DS games, let us go ahead and talk about one of the most expensive, and that is Dragon Quest V. And if you notice, one important thing with 4 and 5 and 6 coming is that these are, again, the North American versions. You know it because of the ESRB, and then obviously if you start playing the game, you'll see the language start to appear in English. Unless, of course, you have the PAL version, because I think PAL has that. But PAL is similar price-wise to the North American variant, but again, I love gaming with like the PS2, Wii, Xbox era, and more recent, because it's almost always complete in box. And this was a nice era when it actually had the box game and a manual. Now games don't come with manuals, but definitely really great to have these. And again, finishing out the DS collection is Dragon Quest VI for the DS, and this one currently is at $110 even. It just barely edges out the cost of the Dragon Quest V, which is interesting. This has been one of the first times I'd seen that. So next up, beyond Dragon Quest VI, let's look at Dragon Quest VII. And we got Dragon Quest VII on the 3DS. And this is the first time I played this Dragon Quest was 7 and 8 on the 3DS. And I did buy these new. This was right around the time that the 3DS itself was sunsetting. And Dragon Quest VII on the 3DS runs now at $64.44, complete in box. And Dragon Quest VIII runs at $93.68. And I'm wondering if it's because Dragon Quest VIII tends to be the more beloved one with but has the same production run as Dragon Quest VII. I don't know offhand. If you do know, let me know in the comments section below. And if we're going to finish out and talk about Dragon Quest, let's go back to Dragon Quest VII, except Dragon Warrior 7 for the PS1. And this one is at $74.07. This is the full 2 discs, again, complete in box, manual, and what have you. So it's really cool to have this. This, of course, the PlayStation one is the longer version of Dragon Quest VII, and boy, oh boy, was it a long game. I still think it's the longest Dragon Quest game in the series, not counting, of course, Dragon Quest X, of which us in North America we couldn't get. So let's talk about another RPG series, one that I have probably the least amount of experience with, and that is the Shin Megami Tensei one. And these 2 pickups I got this past Christmas from VGP.ca, and that is Shin Megami Tensei 4 and Shin Megami Tensei 4 Apocalypse. Both of these are unopened, so it's complete in box unopened, and just 4 is at $59.99, and Apocalypse $90 even. It's crazy how quickly these escalated in cost and price, though I did miss the ability to get Radiant Historia for the 3DS when VGP.ca, not for lack of trying. I did try, but both times that it opened up, it sold out within 2 to 10 seconds. So I was really lucky to at least get this, as well as a couple of the other Persona Q games. And especially this guy, just from what I've been hearing, this guy was a little tougher to get too. Let's stay on the RPG train and let's talk about Mario RPG. No, I'm not gonna talk about the original Paper Mario or Super Mario RPG games. Let's go with a sequel, and that is, of course, Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. I just recently picked this up from the Midwest Gaming Expo, and the current value of this is at $84. So I paid a little bit more than what the value of it. I look at it like convention tax. At least that's what my buddy Run says. It helps to make me feel a little better. But this is one of those games where, like, I'm just glad to finally have a physical copy of. There's a couple of these from this last Midwest Gaming Expo pickup that I feel that way with. And regarding Mario RPGs, we also got Mario and Luigi Partners in Time, and this completes my Mario and Luigi set. Because I had the Game Boy Advance version, I have all the 3DS ones, although I don't think I have Paper Jam, Mario and Luigi Paper Jam. I don't think I have that, so I should probably pick that up. And Bowser's Inside Story, with Bowser Jr. So I pretty much got it. I don't know why I missed this one. This one values at $49.99. This was actually listed, I think, for $75. I talked the guy down to $60, but again, paid the convention tax on that. It's all right. Still glad I have a physical copy. And we're going to start rounding out some of the RPG train. Let's talk Xenoblade. Xenoblade Chronicles is an interesting series because I feel like the value of this is a little more overblown, especially because all 3 games are currently playable on the Nintendo Switch. So you don't really see the value cresting that much on a, as of the recording of this video, current gen system. So let's talk about the OG. Let's talk about the original Xenoblade Chronicles, which I did manage to pick up. And this was something that used to be only sold in GameStop, I believe. I believe it was just a GameStop exclusive. Current value, though, is only $24.99. And that surprised me when I picked this up, because I think I got it for like $25. I'm like, man, that's a steal. Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's the charting price for that. So that kind of surprised me. So what about the new 3DS version of it? This was another VGP pickup, probably as evidenced by the little FR little taggy here. This only is $19.43. And I did buy this totally new at... Ooh, no, I'm wrong, because I was going to say I bought it new at $40, but they had a sale. I think I bought it for $30. So I guess I did overpay, but hey, it's still unopened, and I'm planning not to open it. I like the idea of being able to own all of the Xenoblade Chronicles games. To that end, if we're going to talk about owning all the Xenoblade, let's talk about Xenoblade Chronicles X. I bought this new and from Amazon for like $50, and they sent me 2 copies. Don't know why. So I gave the 1 extra copy to my buddy Run. The value of this is, according to the thing, complete a box, because I opened this so that I could install it into my Wii U so I could start downloading all the DLC before the actual shutdown hit. And so as you can see, of course, it is open, so that does kind of lower the value, as I'm sure the little UAE, Saudi Arabia, Malaysia little taggy here does a little bit. But again, of course, it is playable since it is kind of that North American sort of variant of it. But still, glad that I have a physical copy of this, especially now that the online system is totally donezo, notwithstanding other special ways of connecting, homebrew ways like Pretendo. So, wrapping up the RPG train, we have, of course, you've seen it, I've featured it in a number of videos, Soul Blazer. And this is the loose copy of it, but it does have the manual with it. It's not a great version of the manual, but at least it's there. But in the physical copy, it looks great. The loose cost for it is $107.55, so that's not bad. It's one of those games that's like a personal favorite. It's probably my favorite of the 3 for the Quintet trilogy. It just got a lot of fun memories with this, so definitely glad to have it physically. And we're going to move on to the adventuring genre, because I don't consider the Legend of Zelda series an RPG. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Let me know in the comments section below. But let's talk about Oracle. Let's talk about the Oracle games. We've got Legend of Zelda Oracle of Ages and Seasons. Again, these are the custom game cases, copies. And this is also part of the Hardicus collection that I picked up. And I did have repros of these. And now I'm happy to say I actually have the official versions, thanks again to my buddy Hardicus. And it's really something that I'm just glad to have physically. I think the value of these have dipped a little bit since the playability of these is now able to be done on the NSO service on the Nintendo Switch. The Oracle of Ages is at $45.54 and Seasons at $47.50. Maybe they give the little under $2 extra to Seasons, because I think that's a favorite for a lot of people. Because I think Seasons, the Seasons switching aspect, and Seasons being, I think Seasons was the one that was action based, more action, and then Ages was the one that was more puzzle based, if I'm remembering correctly. But let's talk GameCube, because we've got the Legend of Zelda Collector's Edition, and this was a really cool pickup. I think this was something through Club Nintendo or Nintendo Power, where it's got Zeldas 1 and 2 for the NES, and Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask for the Nintendo 64. Definitely really happy to have this, though the value of it isn't as much as you'd think it'd be. Only $65.80. That's it. But that's okay, because it's a favorite, because it has one of my favorite Zeldas, Zelda 2, because I'm weird. And if we're going to talk about GameCube again, I have to bring up Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. I featured this recently, as this was another one of my big pickups from the Midwest Gaming Expo. And this one was something where, again, you got the full physical copy. $126.02. I did pick this up for $135. So again, I did pay a bit of that convention tax, but you gotta guess that the value of it's going to increase with time and everything like that. So just again, I'm just really glad to have this, because this is, after picking up and playing the Wii one, which I think the Wii one's only valued at like $16, surprising enough. I think with it being like a upon release game, kind of like Wii Sports, where Twilight Princess was. I was really glad to have the one without the motion controls, finally, because I suffered through the motion control version of this game. I was very, very happy to play through this when this came out. This is the Wii U version of Twilight Princess. This is the HD one, of course, because it's Wii U. And this one has shot up in price. All the value standards besides the Wii version love Twilight Princess. This one at $101 even. $101 even. We've left the RPG and adventure genres sort of out the window. Now we're going to merge from action to adventure. Maybe a little bit of horror, because we're talking Castlevania. With Castlevania, we have got a number of really great pickups, and we have Castlevania 2, Belmont's Revenge, at $63.23, because again, this is customgamecases.com, and we've got the physical copy. I think it's because the production run on this was so low that it's worth so much, and the fact that this is so much of a better game than the first Game Boy one, Castlevania The Adventure, because Christopher Belmont moves so much quicker. The music is phenomenal. It's absolutely fantastic, and it's got that sort of Mega Man-like structure. Fantastic game. Can't recommend it enough. You can play it on the Castlevania Anniversary Collection. Next up on my Castlevania list is Castlevania Aria of Sorrow. Again, customgamecases.com, because we just have the physical game here. And this one valued at $70.55, because of course it's a loose copy. And if we're talking about Sorrow, let's build up some of that sorrow here with Dawn of Sorrow, the Nintendo DS game Castlevania. I think this is the first one on the DS. I don't have the other two yet. This one is complete in box. That's the nice thing with, again, the DS. And this one is at only $50.80. So even though the other two were loose and just the games on their own, this one is worth less, even though it's complete in box, but I think because they did more production of this. And finally, we of course have, again, courtesy of the Heart of Kiss collection, Castlevania Symphony of the Night for the PlayStation 1. Complete in box. This is $151.31, worth every penny, because this is probably, I think this is probably one of the best Castlevania games ever made. It has one of the best soundtracks. It's probably in top 3 for best Metroidvanias ever made. Fantastic game. You can pick it up on the Castlevania Requiem collection on the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5. So absolutely recommend that you play that. If you can pick it up and or have a friend who is willing to sell his copy to you and really enjoy that game. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and run through some miscellaneous copies of games here. So let's talk Metroid. Now, I have a number of Metroid games. What's interesting with this Metroid is this is the most expensive copy of Metroid that I have, and this is the Metroid Prime Trilogy at $74.53. Again, this is for the Wii, and I think it's interesting because I have Metroid Prime 1 and 2 for the GameCube, and I've got Prime Remastered. I really think that's about it. I've got the Game Boy Advance ones. I want to say I have the DS ones. Actually, no, I'm wrong. I don't have the DS ones. So with this one being the most expensive one, you would have thought like Metroid Prime 2 Echoes was, but that one was showing, I think, at like $70 or $60 or something. So there you go. I was hunting for Super Famicom version of Super Metroid, but I couldn't find that. Apparently, that's actually pretty rare. So next up, let's talk about one of the greatest games, and that is not a game. This is the Game Boy Player Startup Disc. For whatever reason, the disc itself, as well as the accessory is pretty useless without the disc. This whole thing altogether, $152.40. So it's really interesting because, like, you can have the little bottom to the GameCube, but without the disc, if I'm remembering right, unless of course you got mods or something that can do it, you can't play Game Boy or Game Boy Advance games on your GameCube. So it's really cool that I've got that. Very happy to still own that. Another one that I'll feature is Super Princess Peach for the DS. This was a more recent pickup of mine, and I think I snagged this for a pretty good deal at like 40 or 50. This one is another complete in box. Current value at $86.93. So really happy to be able to have that one. And I also have a copy of Kid Icarus Uprising for the 3DS. And this was something that I'm going to say that this is a Frankenstein that I found one of my local retailers had everything except the game. They had the case, they had the cute little cards, they had the manual and whatnot. They didn't have the game. And it was only like $10. So I'm thinking to myself, why not pick it up and then find a loose copy online and just marry the two? Because in doing that, the value for all of it together is $65 even, and I think I paid like $40 for the loose game. So yeah, it was a good deal for me. And plus the game itself is pretty cool. Just to be able to play one of Sakurai's recent-ish non-Smash Brothers games. So they are. Another great game here, and that is going to be one of my more recent pickups, and that is the Kirby's Dream Collection. And this, of course, is for the Wii, and currently valued at $93.83, because this actually is unopened. It looks like it's open, and you can kind of open up the slot, but the game itself is totally sealed still. And this is something that they were selling for $90. I talked them down to $80. So, yay, good for me. Nice little pickup there. let's talk about some Mega Man. I'll mention that I've got Mega Man's 4 and 5 for the Game Boy, and 4 is currently valued at $118.50 and 5 at $173.32. And this is interesting because, of course, again, these are just the cases from customgamecases.com. And it's interesting because if we had the boxes, that would greatly accelerate the worth, something in like the 500s to 700s. But it's still good pickups, great pickups to have. I really wish Capcom would have released the anniversary collection for the Game Boy Advance that they were planning on doing like 25 years ago. But maybe they'll still do another collection, because Capcom likes to do Mega Man collections versus making new games. So either way, come on, Capcom, get on it. One of the most valued games that I have, probably second to the Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster, is this little guy right here. The Messenger for the Nintendo Switch. This is the Reserve Edition, and it is unopened, and the game inside is totally sealed at $240 for its value. And it's really worth it too, because this game is excellent. It's one of the best Nintendo Switch indie games. Really ranks right up there with a whole bunch of like powerhouses, in my opinion, like Axiom Verge or Undertale, just because it's like that whole Ninja Gaiden sort of style of play. Then it really changes the game literally halfway through to like a Metroidvania. And I love both genres. Music's fantastic. I love all the little Easter eggs and in-game jokes. And overall, it's just a fantastic time. So that is probably the most valuable actual video games in my collection. So let me know in the comments section below if you've got any of these, or what are some of the most valuable ones that you've got. Would love to hear from you guys and continue a conversation. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.